Hey, welcome to Beyond at Home. I hope however you're spending this long weekend, that you're spending with friends and family and enjoying some quality time together. Over the past few episodes, we've been looking at the road ahead for us as a local church. In part one, we looked at our starting point and we had to recognize if we want to move in the road ahead, we have to actually acknowledge where we are at the moment. And then last week, we looked at the idea that we want to be the type of church that we believe God is inviting us to be. And then at our night of vision and worship just last weekend, we looked at our wildly important goal for the year and we talked about how you can play a part in helping us achieve that. And in today's episode, well, we're going to revisit that wildly important goal. And so if you were at our night of vision and worship, perhaps this is an opportunity for you to take some action that you were like, I'll get around to that, I'll do that, and then the week got away from you. But if you weren't at our night of vision and worship, then this is an opportunity for you to hear where we're going in the road ahead for 2024. So let's jump in. There's a saying that we have around Beyond that following Jesus will make your life better and will make you better at life. Now, that doesn't mean that we think we're better because we follow Jesus. What it means is that through us following Jesus, we found that Jesus has made our lives better. Not necessarily easier or less challenging, but better. What I mean by that is that we've become better spouses, better parents, better friends, better bosses, better co-workers. And that's what our mission is at Beyond, to inspire people to follow Jesus. It's not to get people to believe the exact same thing that we believe about Jesus, that he's the Son of God, but it's just to follow Jesus. That might be as simple as following what Jesus teaches about forgiveness. Maybe following what Jesus says about how to forgive our enemies, or maybe following what Jesus says when it comes to stewardship and when it comes to our material stuff. And we believe that in doing that you will actually find life is better. The way that I would sort of describe it, and we're in the Botanical Gardens here today, is like our mission and our values are the soil in which we want to grow our local church in. And then our vision is the sky that everything's moving towards, that we want to create churches that unchurched people love to be a part of and to engage with. But then the steps that we take along that path are like the lattice. You know, we can't have a lattice all the way to the sky. You have to make sure that the jumps are not too far for the plants to be able to grow up into. But you also have to make that every single step is an easy, simple, logical next step. And then eventually you take enough of those steps and you'll get to the kind of place that inspires people to follow Jesus by creating churches that unchurched people love to engage with. And the reason this is our vision isn't by accident. This year we'll celebrate 9 years of being a local church. And when we first started, we had a team of less than 10 people. And as we gathered together and we prayed about the church that we felt God wanted us to start, what we really sensed was that our local community in the city of Moreton Bay didn't need another church. There's some phenomenal churches in Moreton Bay. There's so many of them already, but we felt what they needed was a different kind of church. A church where people could come with their questions, with their doubts, where they could feel like they didn't have it all together, because the reality is none of us have it all together. We wanted to be an outward-facing local church because we believed that Jesus is outward-facing. We wanted to be a church where people nothing liked us, maybe didn't even believe what we believe, but they liked us and they were glad that we were part of their local community. The tension that comes with being an outward-facing church is that the gravitational pull of the local church is always towards insiders. And this language, insiders, is something that Paul, who wrote over half the New Testament, spoke about. He talked about this term of insiders and outsiders. An insider is someone who's a church person. There's someone who goes to a local church, they know what to expect, they're looking for a group, they're looking how to get involved in a team, they know that the practice of giving and giving towards the mission. And just to be clear, we love Jesus followers at Beyond. In fact, we started Beyond with a bunch of Jesus followers. But the older and older a church gets, the easier and easier it is, and the more that gravitational pull is to become more insider focused, to become more about people who think like us, act like us, behave like us, and really just like the same things that we do. And really, we wanted to resist that. We wanted to be a local church of people who are brokenhearted over the lost. We want to be a church of people who are brokenhearted over their friends, over their family, their neighbors, their co-workers, people that they interact with who don't know Jesus yet. And we want to spend our time and our energy living in such a way that inspires those people to move in the direction of Jesus. The reason we do this is actually because of something James, the brother of Jesus, said. In the first century, there was all this confusion over how does someone actually become a Jesus follower? Some people said, well, you have to be circumcised. Some people said, no, you've got to become Jewish first. And there was this whole debate. And really what they did was they had a big church meeting and everyone got up and they shared their different opinions. And then finally, James, the brother of Jesus, gets up. And he says, it's my opinion that we should not make it difficult for the Gentiles who are turning to God. Really what he's saying is we should remove every unnecessary obstacle that stands in the way of someone finding and following Jesus. We should go out of our way to figure out what those obstacles are and then remove them if they prevent someone finding and following who Jesus is. And that's what we've been about as a local church ever since we've begun. And that's what we're going to continue to be like into the future. And this year, in order to help us to move into the future together, we've come up with and identified one wildly important goal for 2024. And we shared it at our night of vision and worship last week. And if you weren't there, or in case you wanted to be reminded, our wildly important goal is something we've called our WIG. And our WIG for this year is to double the amount of people in the core by the 31st of December, 2024. Now, why would we have this as our wildly important goal for the year? And what exactly is someone in the core? Well, the way that we've defined someone as making up the core is someone who is connected in a group, who leads on a team, and partners with us financially. Now, obviously, some people do one or two, but not all of those three. And so why are we focused on that? Why aren't we focused on someone's spiritual practices and their prayer life and all of those sorts of things? Well, the truth is all of those things are deeply important, but we can't actually measure them. And honestly, it probably wouldn't do a whole lot of good to measure some of those things. And what would it mean to measure some of those things? See, the reason that we want to invite people to take a step towards being engaged in the mission of Beyond and being core to our team is because the more people who are connected in a group, who serve on a team and partner with us financially, the more ability we have to inspire people to follow Jesus and to create a church that people who are far from God would love to engage with. So here's where the rubber hits the road. I want you to take a next step to helping us achieve our wildly important goal as a local church. Right now, there's a link in the description of this video that will take you to a website that has a number of next steps you could take. And I'd encourage you, if you're not connected in a group, register your interest so we can find a group that's right for you. If you don't lead on a team, then sign up to be a part. And if you're not sure what team to join, let us help you find one. Partner with us financially as well. Or if you want to take the step of baptism, there'll also be a link in there for that. And why I want you to take this step is because of something the Apostle Paul said. And I want to finish by reading it to you. He said, though I am a slave and belong to no one, I have made myself a slave to everyone to win as many as possible. Paul says, I'm willing to give up some of my rights, some of my freedoms that are true and that are coming to me so that I might win some people. Then he says to the Jews, I became like a Jew to win the Jews. And you might be thinking to yourself, isn't Paul Jewish? Well, he is, but he's talking about those really buttoned up Jews in Jerusalem. He said, I became like them. To those under the law, I became like one under the law, though I myself am not under the law, so as to win those under the law. And then he says, to those not having the law, I became like one not having the law, though I'm not free from God's law, but I'm under Christ's law, so as to win those not having the law. And he says this, I became all things to all people, so that by all possible means, I might save some. And he says, the reason I do this is for the sake of the gospel, that I might share in its blessings. Just under 9 years ago, we decided to be a by all possible means church, that we wanted people to realize that the gospel really is good news of great joy for all people. And for us to continue to do that, we need your help. We need you to take ownership and to be a part of what we're doing. This is not just our mission, but we want it to be your mission and your vision as well. And so I want to encourage you, connect in a group, lead on a team, partner with us financially, take the step of baptism, and together you will ensure and we will ensure that we continue to be a by all possible means church. Hey, thanks so much for being a part of our Road Ahead online experience in January. We really hope that this has cast a little bit of vision for the future of Beyond. And if you're really not sure what your next step is, just simply fill out the Connect card on our website and we'll help you discover what your best next step is. And I would love to invite you to join us in person for our February 4th, 2024 kickoff and our Upstreet launch party. You can find the details at the link in the description.